Hello everyone and welcome back to Benchwire Season 2 Episode 7. We got a great one in store for you guys today, so leave a like on this video, subscribe. If you're new, we would really appreciate it, and let's get started.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about, I want to get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
The Eagles lost to the New York Jets 20-14.
Yeah.
I mean,
About
listen, I defend Jalen Hurts all the time, but he shit the bed this game. Many times. We should have won the game.
How many picks did he throw?
3.
1, 2, 3. Can you put that
3,
up on the screen? 3.
There was 4 turnovers as a team, I'm pretty sure.
Can't happen.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect to win a game like that, and the fact that we almost did, again, I mean, it shows that, as a team, we have what it takes to win, but they make it hard every week. They can't get a simple win out of the way.
Yeah, it's always close, their wins, I feel
I think what hurt the most was, Hurts could have finished the game with 2 picks and still won. But he threw a really costly one at the end of the game. I don't know what he saw there. He should have just thrown it away. But he set up the Jets in prime position. I mean, the Jets, the one thing is they struggle to go up the field. But once they get to the red zone, they can normally get it in there, I would say. I mean, when you have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, it's relatively easy to game plan for.
They look pretty good.
Or get those two involved in that short yardage situation. But, yeah, we lost. And
Finally played a good defense.
They have a really good defense. I've been saying for a while now.
I feel like the Eagles haven't been tested yet with a good defense yet, and I feel like the Jets took advantage of that. And
they took advantage, but I would also say that the defense didn't play amazing.
Well, they didn't play amazing, but they did enough to get 3 turnovers.
The turnovers weren't some insane plays. It was for me, it was what the fuck did Hurts see that made him decide he was going to throw that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess at that point, right, you say, well, good on the defense. They covered the guy. But, again, we shot ourselves in the foot. We tend to do that a lot. And our defense played pretty well, considering all the injuries we had. 20 points, I mean,
it is that
for the
Jets offense, though.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Zach has been playing pretty good since the beginning of the season, really. But mostly that Chiefs game.
Yeah, that's when it started.
He's been good for them. So, I mean, the Jets are not going to be a team that you could just push over. But, yeah, Eagles, they got to get healthy. I mean, that's all that there is to it.
They obviously, the Dolphins Sunday.
When you think of a team like the Giants who are hurt as well, I mean, you can give the Giants all the excuses, but even the Eagles a little bit. It's like, okay, if you want to be that top team, you can't really have some of the injuries that we have. But, yeah, I'd rather just move on to a new game. I hate talking about it.
It was great.
You have to get the loss out of the way, too, mentally.
Mentally?
Just to be able to move on and be like, hey, we're not chasing an undefeated season. So...
yeah, so...
it helped us last year. I know that.
Yes.
Hopefully it does the same.
Now let's talk about the Niners. The Niners also lost as well.
Another team that should have won their game.
They should have won. Jake Moody missed 2 field goals, and that costed them.
Costed them my fantasy.
Yeah, that too. Well, yeah. How much did you lose by?
Not much. If he hit both of his field goals,
he probably would have won.
He missed 2. Yeah. And they were long field goals. So they would have been extra points.
So, yeah, they costed Matt and they costed the Niners. Brock Purdy didn't look like himself. The defense got to him, and he looked like the 7th-round pick that, everyone thought he was.
He looked like a quarterback that still needs to be developed. When he was playing some of these other games, you look at Brock Purdy and you're like, he seems like a finished product. He doesn't look like there's much he needs to work on. But then he faced real defense. It's like, okay, there are some things he needs to work on. So, let it be a learning lesson.
McCaffrey went down.
Yeah.
Debo went down. So there were some injuries on the Niners side as well. So that kind of hurt them throughout the game. But, yeah, that game was winnable. They had 2 opportunities to score 3 points, and they missed on both.
And credit to Purdy, because when they lost Debo and they lost McCaffrey, he drove him down the field at the end and set him up for a field goal.
It wasn't his fault they lost the game. It's just he had a tough defense to go against, and he did what he could.
He struggled, but he was money that last drive.
Yeah.
So maybe a big game player.
Yeah.
Big moment player, I mean.
Clutch player.
But... yeah, they lost 2, so there's no more undefeated teams in the NFL.
Yeah, everyone's 5-1 or 4-2 at the top. So who's gonna win it all? We don't know yet.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about this Bills and Giants game.
Mostly
because if you guys won, you would have been 2-4, and with Daniel Jones coming back potentially, Saquon being back, you kind of look at it like, okay, 2-4 isn't the worst position that we could be in.
Yeah,
and you might have been able to still keep going, but 1-5 now it kind of feels like you're in a hole. You're in a hole, and I don't know if you'll be able to dig your way out of it with some of the teams that are playing, or how well some of the teams are playing. Like the Falcons, they find ways to win. I want to say they won, right?
I believe they lost this week. They lost to the Commanders, right?
They did.
Yeah.
It was the fact that they turned the ball over at the end. But like the Commanders too, like there's just teams that are going to end up with like 7-ish wins and so it puts a lot of pressure on you guys because you would really have to like not win out, but you would have to hope that a lot of them kind of fall off. It's a lot has to go in your favor, and you don't want to rely on that. So, what do you think? I mean, what at this point are you still thinking maybe push for the playoffs, or is that completely out of your mind now?
I think it's out of reach at this point. If you start the season 1-5, you are not going to make the playoffs, and like you're going to have to like win out most of your games. You have like less room for error. If they want to start doing that and winning games, this is a perfect opportunity. Playing a divisional opponent this week in Washington, you got to beat divisional opponents. So you got to do that. I mean, you got to get healthy. I don't think Jones is playing this week. I think it's a Tyrod show yet again.
I mean, let's look. I mean, to be fair, you're out of that gauntlet now. The 4 game, the Niners, Seahawks, Dolphins, Bills.
But you lost them all.
You
had to at least win one. At least.
That's why the Bills would have been so big. Because then what? You would have been, like I said, 2-4. Then you could have been 3-4.
That was the opportunity. You had it there. You shut them out the first half.
You're 1-5. Let's say you go 2-5, 3-5. You somehow beat the Raiders 4-5. You're kind of back in it,
I guess. But then the Cowboys come to town. You're back to reality. So,
but then after that, it would be like
another divisional
Patriots, Packers, all winnable for you guys.
They're all winnable, but you got to stay healthy. You got to keep Daniel Jones upright, and that offensive line is still a work in progress right now.
I guess it also doesn't help that you have the Eagles late in the season.
Exactly. So having the Eagles Christmas
you would have
and
to
like
split that
after New Year's, I don't think we're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's a little too late now.
So then at that point,
I think you're going to suffer and try and hopefully get a draft pick. Hopefully a top 5 pick if possible. But I feel like Dable and company will still
try to win.
Get some wins. But you got to stay healthy. You got to keep these players healthy. Saquon looked decent from what I saw. But like I think they should be sellers at the trade deadline. You move a guy like Adoree Jackson. You move a guy like Leonard Williams. Because they're guys that aren't expiring deals. Yeah, and with him as well. On expiring deals, they could get draft capital. I don't think they're players that are going to, push you over the top. Those are just okay players. So if you could get some draft capital
for a team like like Adoree Jackson, like a team that's trying to make a late push.
Yes.
Not a solidified playoff team, you would think.
Exactly.
Unless Saquon, but
yeah, Saquon. I want to keep him, but like I don't know at this point. They might
running backs are replaceable. So you would really.
They are.
What I would have done.
What I would have done is I would have paid Saquon the money, and then tag Jones. That's what I would have done.
So I was gonna say, so running backs are replaceable, like we said. I know that you guys drafted. Don't you have 2 rookies, or is it 1 rookie running back?
We have 1 rookie running back.
Wasn't he
Eric Gray, Oklahoma, 5th round pick?
Something like that. You never know with those guys, and it just seems like he hasn't got those opportunities. I think when Saquon went down, you kind of had an opportunity to see what maybe he was made of.
If he couldn't beat out Matt Breida, then
that is telling. But
yes.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes there's just I don't know.
I would just sell at the trade deadline, sell those guys. If you can get value for Saquon, if you could get a first, I would pull the trigger because like Saquon, he's cool and all, but he's just a shiny sports car. Like he's nothing special for the Giants. Like we're not gonna win with him at this point, and you could get value for him.
You would honestly get more value, like long term, selling him and then using that on an O line and then getting a running back in like the 4th or 5th, and then they end up being pretty good.
Exactly, like
because then it's like okay, he can run behind the line.
Like you look at Kyron Williams, like for the Rams, like he's being pretty good for them right now. Like you could get a late round pick and have a good running back.
Yeah, you just gotta choose the right guys. I mean, I guess the next thing that we can kind of talk about a lot. So, the Chargers. I always want to talk about the Chargers because it just feels like
they're 2-3. Get fired?
They're 2-3.
He's not the guy.
He's just not, and I don't understand what they're still holding on to. Herbert didn't play his best. Dak had a pretty good game altogether.
Is still good defense.
I do think that Dak gets hated on a little too much.
I do too.
And I hate to admit
I agree with what Micah said. Did you hear what Micah said? Like, the Cowboys get hated on so much.
They do.
And they do.
It's because of their fans. But
well, yeah, I agree with that. But
when you it's like the Eagles. Like, when you have a fan base that loves their team so much, they become obnoxious about it. And then you hate them. And that's just what happens. So it's bound to happen. Like, that's what's going to happen. And I understand what Micah said, but you kind of just have to swallow your pride. Just say whatever. This is just how it is. Just be a good teammate. Tell Dak, don't listen to the media. We got you.
Yeah.
Because Dak is a good quarterback. They can win with him. I mean,
I don't know if he could take you to the promised land, but he's a guy that, can push you to the playoffs. But I haven't seen that factor in him to win those, playoff atmosphere games yet.
Yeah, I think what's really hurt them is losing Amari Cooper. If they had the Eagles tandem with AJ and Devontae,
I feel like
if they had the Amari and
I don't
CD,
understand why they got rid of him. They should have kept him.
Wasn't it that they couldn't afford him?
They could have easily afforded him.
They could have reworked the contract and all that, but Amari Cooper's still one of the better receivers.
Yeah, he's still making plays for the Browns and being a playmaker for them. But you're missing a guy like that to take the pressure off CD Lamb. Because if you had both of them too, like the Eagles have with AJ and Devontae, that would make things easier.
Michael Gallup had a good year, but at this point he's just
and then you're relying on Brandon Cooks too. They're washed. They're not the greatest at this point. They're old and they're getting up there in age. They're dealing with injuries.
Brandon Cooks, I feel like they should get more out of though.
He did get his first touchdown this season.
He did.
So
he is a good receiver.
Maybe they're finding something there. I don't know if Mike McCarthy.
They should have kept Dalton Schultz as well.
Yeah. Well, Ferguson's not awful, but he's not Dalton Schultz.
He doesn't get the targets that Schultz would get, and that's because Schultz was more reliable.
But I get not paying a tight end if you could find a guy like Ferguson. I get that.
Well, they've had him.
Well, they had him, but now he's coming onto the scene and actually making plays for them. So I get not paying Dalton Schultz because that's money you can put elsewhere, into the defensive side of the ball.
Should have put it into Amari Cooper.
Yeah, they should have, but I don't know what they're doing. But the Cowboys are sitting 4-2, and I think they have the Eagles coming up eventually. And
they're challenging still.
Yeah,
our loss
they're still
really
fighting
hurt
for the division.
I mean, listen, they could win this week, and then we lose to the Dolphins, and all of a sudden we're tied at 5-2.
The Cowboys and Eagles are going to fight for that division. And then maybe the Commanders can sneak into that wild card. Giants, I don't see them making the playoffs.
The Giants and Commanders would have to switch records.
Yeah.
If you're the Giants, you want to be 3-3 right now or something like that.
Well, it would start with beating the Commanders on Sunday, so.
Yeah.
But I don't think it happens with the injury bug. I don't. They don't have the talent right now. They're signing practice squad guys, stealing from this team and this team just to build an offensive line because everyone is hurt on their offensive line.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Lions. I feel like we haven't talked about them much on Benchwire.
I know. They need the respect. Jared Goff, he's playing like a top 5 quarterback right now. Jared
Goff is a good quarterback.
He is.
I personally was one of those few people that didn't really see where it went wrong in LA. I know he was struggling, but I don't know. I feel like
it worked out for LA in the short term, but now the long term, they're Stafford's getting older, and they could have had Jared.
Listen, that's a pretty equal trade.
Yeah,
because you got a younger at quarterback for the Lions,
and you got the Super Bowl for the Rams. So I guess it was equal. And the Lions got a franchise guy, and he's winning you games now. Now that they're rebuilding, got that offensive line now. You got him some weapons: Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra. They're a team up and coming. I think they're going to be a team to watch out for this playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Goff he doesn't turn the ball over as much as he used to. He used to be a guy where it's okay, he's making stupid decisions. I mean, it's stupid to say, obviously, as he gets older, he matures, but he's matured.
Mm-hmm.
He's become a better quarterback altogether, and that's why I felt like it was a little premature for the Rams to give up that quickly, especially when he brought them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I know they lost, but
it was the Patriots. It was the dynasty.
It was the Julian Edelman game, and I can see yes, Goff was definitely a factor in that game that they should have done better.
They only scored 3 points that game, so yeah. I understand that. But
it was still too premature.
It was still unlocking, his full potential, and you haven't gotten to that point. But what the Lions are doing with him, he's making a name for himself, making plays and winning games, and you got to respect that for Jared Goff. So
the Bengals are 3-3. Joe Burrow, he's playing better. He's playing better, but they're not putting up the yards. It seems like altogether they're not able to, other than Jamar Chase, they're not able to do anything throwing wise. And how much of that is maybe Joe Burrow missing passes? I mean, he was 24-35, he missed 11 passes. I don't think that's the worst. It's not the best.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're taking 11 throws that need pinpoint accuracy. Like, a lot of them could probably just be short passes and whatever. But I don't know. I'm not sure how to feel about the Bengals at the moment.
Where are they sitting in the division right now? I think they're close.
Aren't they tied with?
They're close. They could still make a playoff push because of how weak the division is.
No, they're not tied. They're in last.
They're in last, but I feel like they could still make a push. Everyone in that team or that division is consistent, 500 or higher.
Yeah, they tend to just find ways to win. I still think the Ravens are the biggest threat in it.
I'm really.
Lamar hasn't played the best, but
they're still winning these games. They should easily be 5-1 if his receivers caught those passes against the Steelers. But yeah, I think the Ravens are the best team right now in that division.
Steelers have Deontay Johnson coming back soon, which is big.
Steelers have got some lucky wins. I'll admit that because of their defense. Their offense needs to step it up. I don't see the Steelers maintaining this success so far because of how bad their offense has played.
I think the Browns are sneaky with that defense.
Yeah, you got to get Deshaun Watson healthy.
They're 5 games into the season, and they've only allowed 77 points. That's, really insane to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos, if they're giving up 200, granted they allowed 70.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, maybe the Browns are also another sneaky team. If they can get Deshaun to play like he did when he was on the Texans, they could be a competitive team in the playoffs. But right now, he's still not there.
And now he's got a shoulder injury he's dealing with. That's hard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's massage.
I don't know if it's his throwing shoulder, but if it is, that's going to be brutal, to come back from and try and, speed up that recovery.
Yeah. We could talk about the Colts. Anthony Richardson, he's done for the year now.
I dropped him in fantasy.
Going to go ahead and get surgery.
It was sad, but I had to do it. Yeah, he's on IR. It sucks, and it is, short rookie season, but we saw some flashes of a potential guy that can, lead that franchise and maybe some playoff wins. Eventually, they're still in the middle of a rebuild. They just signed Jonathan Taylor long-term. So they got some players there that can, hopefully bring them to the promised land. But it's still early stages of a young rebuild. But I'm liking what, they're doing right now. Chris Ballard, I think, the GM.
Yeah.
He's made some good draft picks. And, transitioning from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan and then finally landing a guy in Anthony Richardson. I think that's respectful, and you got to admit that he's done a good job as a GM.
Yeah, obviously you'd wish that Jonathan Taylor thing was handled earlier.
Yeah, that was weird how they handled it, but they figured out what they were going to do.
You really did risk ruining a relationship with one of the better running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
$14 million is a lot. It is a lot for a running back. It's a lot. Like I said, they're replaceable, but Jonathan Taylor, maybe he isn't. You kind of have to look at it like that. And maybe that's how the Giants should look at it. Listen, there's a lot of great running backs in the league. But, those top few guys, they aren't replaceable. You're not going to find somebody like that again.
Yeah. They're generational talents.
Because you give those guys a good O-line, and that's what's the game changer.
Look at McCaffrey right now.
Exactly. You have to pay him. I would pay him $20 million if he wanted it a year.
Yeah. That's
just how much
the
of
only
a difference
thing
maker
is there's injury risk. That's the only thing with running backs because you can nick your ankle, fuck up your knee, and then you lose it for the whole season, and that's your whole team because you rely on them that heavily. So I like signing Jonathan Taylor long term. Hopefully he can stay healthy. They got an offensive line that can help Jonathan Taylor. But yeah, the Colts are moving in the right direction. You just got to get Anthony Richardson healthy for next year. They got a decent backup in Gardner Minshew. I think he could win you some games.
He'll be fine, yeah.
But I don't think you're going to make the playoffs and move on and make a push at the Super Bowl. That's not happening this year. They're still in the middle of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm. So let's just quickly, before we come to an end here, we could talk a little bit about the injuries.
There's a lot of injuries.
There was a ton of injuries this week.
A lot to my fantasy team.
Like Christian McCaffrey went down.
Kyron went down.
Huh?
Kyron Williams went down.
Yeah, Kyron Williams went down.
Debo went down. Lane Johnson went down.
Lane is actually...
He went down, but he'll come back soon.
They actually said that he should be good to go for Miami.
Really?
Which is massive.
That is massive.
Yeah, they said it was just a tweak. But, yeah, he went down. But then there's also some positives. Like Kyler Murray, he's practicing now.
Yeah,
he's going to be back for the Cardinals
IR
soon.
windows opening up.
What else we got? Eagles signed Julio Jones.
That did happen.
Insane.
10 years too late, but they got him.
I wish we had prime Julio.
Dude. But, like, he's a better option than Zacchaeus and Quez Watkins right now at this point of his career.
Yeah,
I would say so. Like, he's a jump ball guy that, you can install him in red zone packages and just throw it up.
Yeah, listen, he's obviously slower than he once was, but, like, you're not going to lose your height or what made him dominant, which was, just the way he's built. Like, he still has that. He's also rested a lot, and, he said it in his interview that, he's not here just for chasing a ring. He's here to dominate. Like, he wants to be Julio Jones still, and so I'm hyped for that.
It's a good signing.
But there's also some breaking news. The Chiefs, they've traded for McCall Hardman. They brought him back from the Jets.
When did this happen while we were recording?
3 minutes ago.
I like that because they're missing a guy like McCall Hardman, another speedster in that offense. Kadarius Toney, he's inconsistent, so getting a guy like McCall Hardman, knows the system, and
he'll be able to play right away. He won't miss a beat. Well, actually, they did lose Bieniemy.
So what they trade for him?
Oh, I got no clue. Probably a late pick. They weren't even using McCall.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, McCall, he fits in.
But now he's back with the Chiefs.
He's going to be used. Quite a bit. I would honestly be surprised if he's not one of their starting 3 receivers. That's how bad they've been.
Yes.
And yeah, Mahomes loves him.
Yeah.
So it's a good move. It was kind of expected.
Yeah.
Like, if you were thinking about who's a guy that they could go get, it's like, okay, bring him back. Why not?
Yeah. I like the move.
Yeah. One more receiver away, and then they'll be okay.
They need a number 1. They need like a Mike Evans. He might be available. Maybe the Bucs are sellers, but the Bucs are actually playing pretty. I know they're playing pretty well, but yeah, they got till Halloween, I think, is the trade deadline.
You know, it'd be really an interesting pick or an interesting move. Adam Thielen to the Chiefs.
Dude, Adam Thielen has been balling so far this season.
Yeah, just you got to look at teams like that and be like, yo, can we snag a player from you?
I think he visited the Chiefs, but he ultimately signed with the Panthers, which is fine because he's still
he
having
seems
a good
like
season.
a guy that would like to live in Carolina.
Yeah,
I'm not. That came out wrong. I'm not implying anything. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to walk back on that.
But yeah, McCall Hardman got traded, and I think this podcast is over. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy. Drop a like, subscribe, check out our link tree of all our socials, and we'll catch you guys later. Benchwire.
Out.